This is the Rahn RotorWay Exec 162F pre-flight, part one of a two-part series, because I think it's going to run a little bit long in length. This pre-flight is strictly for this rotorway. It's not intended as any sort of an instructional video for your helicopter. First thing we'll do is take a look inside the cockpit. We'll go to the overhead switch panel and switch on the instrument switch. And check the fuel gauge for quantity. Your best bet for ensuring that you have gasoline, of course, is to just top off the tanks every time before you fly. That's what I do. Otherwise, make sure you at least use a dipstick to ensure that you've got enough fuel for your flight. And remember to rely on the fuel gauge only as an indicator, because there can be some serious errors in what it shows and what's actually in the tank. Let's walk back to the tail section. Take a look at the stabilizer. Make sure that nothing's loose here. Check bolts for any sort of areas that may appear to need attention. Take a look at the tail rotor slider. Make sure that the pitch links are in proper condition. Inspect the tail rotor blades for any sort of nicks, dings, dents, anything that looks like it's out of the unusual. One of the next checks would be to check the tail rotor belt tension. This is done with the tensioning tool. Slide it in until you can feel the belt on either side, and then push up 10 pounds of pressure, which is the second mark, and ensure that you have the proper tension. What you're looking for is, with 10 pounds of pressure, you get deflection to this mark on the tensioning tool. The next thing we're going to do is open the inspection panels and take a look at the forward inspection panel and the two tail boom inspection panels. Okay, we've got the front hatch panel off here, and we're going to take the spotlight and take a look at the anti-torque pedals and make sure that there are no loose bolts or any irregularities there. Check the stop nuts, make sure they're positioned properly. I'm going to take a look at the heating ducts, the cooling ducts, make sure that they're secure and that there aren't any loose connections, and just the general appearance of the inside of the front of the tub. Alright, we'll head for the back of the helicopter and take a look around there. Okay, this is the inspection panel that's closest to the front of the helicopter. We'll cut on the spotlight here. What we're looking for is to take a look at the temperature dots and make sure that none of them have been blackened. If they are blackened, this would indicate that you may have tail rotor belts that are slipping or are perhaps loose. We're also checking for the bolts to make sure that nothing is loose here. We're also taking a look at the belts to make sure that everything is properly set there. Also taking a look at the weldments and anything else that may be questionable. Let's take a look at the next panel. Okay, here's the inspection panel that's closest to the tail. Again, we'll use the spotlight to take a look at the temperature indicator. Here it is way up here in the corner. Again, we're checking to see that no dots have been blackened, indicating again that the belts may be slipping or may have slipped. Also, again, taking a look at the bolts, making sure everything is properly secure. My helicopter is equipped with a horizontal stabilizer that is actuated on the cyclic stick up front, and this is electrically actuated so that I can trim the aircraft in flight. Here we're looking for the cotter pins to make sure that everything is secure. Also checking the bolts to make sure that nothing has loosened and slipped there. So we're in good shape there. Let's take a look at an extra panel I've had cut in my helicopter. Alright, here's an extra panel that I've had cut into my helicopter and trimmed out in rubber. This just allows me to get to the belt and just finger check tensioning here, and also allows me to look at the controls that actuate the tail rotor and make sure that the bolts are tight and that nothing is loose there. And it's just an extra precaution. You don't need it, but it's just nice to have. Next pre-flight check will be to take a look at the rotor blades. This is the tip of the blade. We're going down and taking a look for any dings or nicks, anything out of the ordinary. We're going to get on the ladder here and take a close look at the rotor head. All right, we're up on the ladder now, taking a look at the rotor head. Again, we're looking for any sort of abnormalities. You want to check the C-ring retainers to make sure that they are properly set. I have seen one helicopter where they were loose and could cause some serious problems in flight. We're also checking for any and all bolts to make sure that nothing has come loose on any of the moving parts. We're checking the mast bump to make sure that it's positioned properly. Also taking a look at all the bolts underneath to see if anything's bent, loose, and or out of the norm. And also take a look at the other rotor blade and make the same checks as we did on this one. Alright, the last thing we'll do for this portion of the pre-flight is just to take a look at the helipack. The main thing to be concerned with here are that the connecting points are secured with clips, and also that the center connecting point is secured with a clip here. This helipack must be centered on the aircraft because of weight and balance concerns, and must not be loaded with over 100 pounds of cargo. Alright, that wraps it up for part one. We're going to take off the inspection panels, take a look underneath, check the oil, and get set up for part two coming up as soon as I can get the time to do it. Thanks for your attention. Appreciate you watching the video.